left-handed here.
People are gonna have questions, so you're good.
Cool.
Not that good.
We'll just meet before the floor gets done.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Well, but,
That's really good.
Yeah, I agree. You know, you were totally waiting before that lecture, right?
The chair was saying they wanted to get the subfloor done first.
Yeah.
But I think if
It's only one third, because when I was there, it was only 50.
Been vetoed on what?
Well,
Should get a kick out of that.
that sharp.
Where'd you get that?
Something based on. It has primary.
I may have something about
Get that on the Hillary mailing list?
But I'm not sure whether or not.
All right.
Very excited.
They're saying.
so it comes out to a nice.
He was so excited.
And Cliff said that, words to take the top off. So between your van and the car.
Cool.
He's not gonna care, I just wanted to show
Okay.
Sorry.
Because you don't think that
Yeah,
he told me that.
But yeah, he is interested in
4 years or more.
that was a damage. So our neighbor.
Rod's mom.
That might work.
It might work.
This is Rod's mom. We're close friends and the boy.
Did you see the coup, Mary? You ever been watching the coup? But this, I should have mentioned. The coup, just
Just like the one you got rid of.
How do we get this guy in here? I know.
You know what? We have to do it.
I think it's 6:30.
We have to do it this week. And we have to.
Nice to see you. What, you lost your
Cam on my way over here.
I said, you know, that's, I've been having for another, like, 3 weeks.
I thought I had games like that.
Maybe we'll make very
Good evening and welcome to the September meeting of the
Lents Neighborhood Livability Association. Thank you all for visiting us. We have, if you're interested, we have the minutes of our August meeting. They've been posted to the website and the Facebook page. And since no one is interested in approving them, they are as they stand. You can look at them and see what you think. Tonight we have Brandi Tuck, who's the Executive Director of Portland Homeless Family Solutions. And we'll just kick right off into your presentation.
Well, hi everyone, I'm Brandi. It's good to be back. Good to see so many familiar faces. Oh yeah, good move. The sun is really bright. Is that helpful? A little bit?
No.
Well, I am here from Portland Homeless Family Solutions. Our mission is to empower homeless families with children to get back into housing and stay there. And so, as you probably know, we just bought the property on Southeast 92nd and Tolman, a couple blocks south of Foster, to be able to expand our programs and offer support to homeless families with children. And so we closed on our property in May. We're going through a design and remodel process right now. They're actually, so we have the campus is a main building, an old Russian church that will be our main kind of day shelter for our families who live in our night shelter, not open to the community, only open to the families who live in our programs. But it'll be a big day shelter. We'll have 26 individual private rooms for families. All of our offices will be there, our housing, our prevention programs, everything will be there. And so the main building, we're doing kind of a big remodel on right now. We'll actually start demo next week, start tearing up the carpet and tearing out a couple of the stages and things that are in there. So we'll start doing demo next week. And then the apartments, there's 8 two-bedroom apartments there on the campus as well. So the 8 two-bedroom apartments will also act as shelter for homeless families. And so we actually moved our 8 families from our downtown Goose Hollow family shelter out to the apartments about 2.5 weeks ago, the end of August. So we've had 8 families living in there. We have 4 apartments that each have 2 families, so it's 1 family per bedroom. We have 24-hour staff on site. They're in Unit 7. If anybody ever has any issues or any questions or any donations or anything you want to talk about, Unit 7 right now is our staff apartment, and there's people there 24 hours a day. It's open to the families and to the community 24 hours a day. Not the broad community, but if you all had questions, you are welcome to stop in. So we are providing still meals and dinner and case management support and hygiene items and coffee and resources and connection to services for all the families living in the apartments. They're receiving the same supports that they would have received downtown at our Goose Hollow family shelter. And so the plan is to keep the 8 families. We're all working on getting them into housing, and so as these 8 families move into housing, we'll bring in new families, but we'll keep it just at the 8 families until we open the main building, which will probably be December, beginning of December, just after Thanksgiving is what we're aiming for. So we'll open just after Thanksgiving, and at that time we'll go from the 8 families to the full 26. It'll still probably take about a month to 6 weeks to ramp up from 8 to 26, just because intakes take a long time, and getting all the paperwork and getting people oriented and having people go through the processes takes time. And we don't have enough staff to do, 26 intakes in one day. So it'll take a little, maybe a month or so to ramp up, and then we'll be supporting the 26 families there. So that is really my update, but I'm happy to take questions or share more info. Yeah.
Why did you bring families clear from Goose Hollow out to here instead of families here?
Yeah, so we were operating a homeless family shelter and Goose Hollow family shelter, and families were coming mostly from Southeast and Northeast Portland downtown just for shelter. Their kids were going to school out here at Cherry Park Elementary, at Kelly Elementary, at some, they're at the Reynolds School District, Centennial, David Douglas. They are not even Portland Public School kids, and so they were busing 95 minutes from our shelter in Goose Hollow out to where their communities actually were. And so a big piece of why we moved and why we bought this property and kind of relocated, we'll still have a little bit of a downtown presence, in one of our shelters, but our predominant programs will be out here because this is where our families live. This is where their jobs are. This is where their kids go to school, and this is where their support networks are. Yeah.
Is there group kitchen? What are the cooking facilities?
Yeah, so right now, each of the apartments is a fully functional apartment with a little kitchen. So we've supplied all the dishes, we've supplied the baking pans, we've supplied the colanders, we've supplied the dish drains. I mean, we've supplied all of the furniture and the furnishings for the units. And so folks, we have food in apartment 7. Folks, we serve food. We have meals that are hot and ready to go, and people can come eat them there or bring them back to their unit and eat it. But we also have food that families can come take out of our pantry and make in their units if they want to. And you know, all of our families are on food stamps, and it's for them. The families are actually really, really excited because for 24 years in our shelters downtown, we haven't had a kitchen. We've had hot plates and rice cookers and toaster ovens. I mean, I see these looks on your faces. It's been wild, but we've never had a kitchen. We've never been able to cook, and our families have never been able to cook either. And so having the ability for these moms especially to cook for their kids is just really amazing for them. So they're definitely using their kitchens.
How big is each unit?
Each unit is 832 square feet, and it's 2-bedroom. So there's a downstairs that's a living room and a kitchen with a little dining area, and then there's upstairs 2 bedrooms and a bathroom.
Great.
Can we still go look at those? What was that?
The ones that are finished.
Especially Unit 7. Unit 7, they're all identical. All 8 of them are exactly the same. But Unit 7, they just have their office set up in there, and they've got all their storage, and they've got kids' toys and stuff like that. So yeah.
So, I lived there for 5 years. Where did Unit 8 come from?
There's 8 apartments.
It never was. I lived there for 5 years. It was 7 apartments.
Well, when we bought them, there were 8.
Did you turn that laundry room into an apartment?
Oh yeah, there's no laundry room, so I bet that's what it was. When I first saw it, there was always 8. But yeah, that's probably what they did because I don't recall a laundry.
So what is the capacity for, you're going to have 2 families in each apartment? How many in each room?
Right?
Yeah, we already do. It depends on the family size. I mean, if it's a big family with 8 or no, there's no max. If it's a huge family with 8 or 9 folks, we would just give them the whole unit, right? We would not have 2 families. We wouldn't have a family of 5 and a family of 8 in one unit together. So we're pretty flexible with that. And then what our plan is once we have the main building open, when families come to us, and so just a reminder for those who might not remember, we get all of our families in shelter through Multnomah County's homeless family system. So when families anywhere become homeless, they can call there's 9 partners. It's us and Join and Naya and Nara and ERCO and Human Solutions and El Programa and Latino Network and a bunch of the social service nonprofits are all in this collaboration together. And when families become homeless, you can call any of us or show up at our places, and we get you on this coordinated wait list. There's 1,000 families on the wait list right now. But when any of our 9 organizations has openings in our program, we go to this wait list and pull families from this list. And so when we do that, when we have the full 26 families, the plan is when families enter PHFS, when they come to our shelters, they will always come to our main building first. The main building is a little bit different. The units are apartments, but the main building will still have individual private family rooms, but they'll just have a bedroom. They don't have a sink, they don't have a toilet, they don't have a kitchen. It's just a room. They have beds and dressers, but it's a big shared kitchen, shared living rooms, shared bathrooms. And so when families enter our shelter, they'll always first have a stop in our main building. And who knows how long that'll stay. For some families, they might stay only in the main building because they're not high functioning enough to move to be kind of more independent in the apartments. But then the families that are a little bit more independent and we kind of know and we know that we can trust, then when we have an opening in the apartments, they'll move from the main building to the apartments and we'll get a new family to come in the main building. So the apartments will kind of always be families that we know. We'll never be moving strangers from the street into the apartments. They'll always come into the space where there's heavy staff. Yeah.
How many men?
Men, how many men? Well, it's families with children. So it's 26 families. 61% of our clients are kids. 28% are women and 11% are men. And they're all dads, is who they are.
Who's managing this? Because it was a shelter somewhere from here where it used to be a club. And it used to be a club and.
Oh yeah, Human Solutions Eastside Family Center. Is that right? The vegan strip club?
Well, whatever.
I think is it that? Yeah.
The one that had the leaky roof and the.
Yeah. Yep. That's that one. Yep.
Now, how's
That's
that?
not us.
Okay. And where's that organization?
Yeah, so Human Solutions is a nonprofit whose headquarters is in Rockwood, in Gresham on 182nd. Yeah. And so they've been around for 30 years. They're actually having their 30th anniversary this year. They own, I think it's something like 19 or 20 affordable housing complexes. They do the Gresham Women's Shelter. They have provided family shelter in the past. Right now they provide families shelter by vouchering them into motels. They used to have the Eastside Family Center. They bought the building. The building was not in good shape and it ended up they're not able to use it long term, so they're actually going to tear that down and build something new on top of it. Okay. So they are a partner of ours, but they are.
They were not a very good partner. I mean, they were not running that shelter.
Yes.
So how not to have that mistake happen again?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I don't want to speak ill of Human Solutions. They're definitely a partner of ours, but we run our organization very, very differently. Okay. And so one of the biggest differences is Human Solutions gets about 90% of their funding from local government and some federal funding and state funding, but it's government funding. Our business model is that we'll never have more than 60% government funding because the reason is government funding doesn't really fund everything it needs to fund. And so people end up running their programs on these shoestring budgets because the government funding isn't enough to fully implement what the contracts are asking folks to do. And so because we get so much private funding, we supplement and we can more fully implement evidence-based practices. We also, this coming Wednesday the 19th, we have a full-time 40-hour-a-week maintenance manager that's going to be on site at the Lents facility. Human Solutions never had a maintenance manager ever for that facility, and so we have one before we're even starting. His name is Ben D'Antoni, by the way. He starts Wednesday, and he'll also be a really great neighborhood contact for folks because he'll be kind of the main building guy in charge of like the trash and the maintenance and the gardening and all of that. So I think our board, we have seen what has happened with Human Solutions, and we know that it's been really hard on them, and our board is making every effort, and we are being very thoughtful to make sure that doesn't happen for us. Yeah.
You've brought 8 people from Goose Hollow. I understand you have 2 more shelters that you're closing and moving over to the new shelter?
Oh, no. So we closed the Goose Hollow Family Shelter. It was our only shelter. It was our only night shelter. Goose Hollow had paired with it a day shelter. So 13 Salmon Family Center also closed. So we have already closed 2 of our shelters, but only one of them was a night shelter. And then our family winter shelter that was also in Northwest, that will actually open again. So that will open this November at Congregation Beth Israel in Northwest Portland.
So the next 18 families that you bring in when you open the new building will be people who are currently homeless?
Correct.
That are primarily from Lents, from East Portland, from our area?
Yeah, most of them, yes.
You're not bringing any more in from any other site?
Oh, not any other shelters, no. No, just the Goose Hollow family. We don't run any other sites.
That's what we're concerned about. Because we were under the impression you were taking 26 families that were on the waiting list and offering them a new shelter, but you've got 8 from downtown, so they aren't on the waiting list for a shelter because they're already sheltered.
Right, they came from that same waiting list though originally. Originally. Yeah, and we have a maximum 4-month shelter stay, so no one will ever stay with us for more than 4 months.
In 4 months, they're going to get jobs
Well, 66% of them already have jobs. The vast majority of the folks we work with are already employed, most of them full-time. They are hotel housekeepers. One of them works at Adidas right now. One of our moms is employed at Adidas. She works over at the Montgomery Park building. So, I mean, these are just normal folks, most of them, who are employed. And the basic cause of homelessness is that housing is really, really expensive and jobs don't pay enough. And healthcare isn't provided for many of our families at their jobs anyway. And so that's the situation that most of our folks are in. And so, yeah, lost a little bit. Did I answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
But the folks on the waiting list aren't necessarily all from Northeast or Southeast.
No, they're not all necessarily, but they just mostly are. They're all from Multnomah County for sure.
What is it that we can do as neighbors to help that group of families? Do they? I know my friend's involved with one in California, but she says people just keep bringing clothes, but we don't need any more clothes, they don't need any more toys. So what laundry facilities?
We do have laundry, yeah. So things that we always need laundry soap, always need diapers and wipes, always need hygiene items, toothbrushes, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner.